sure I don't hear what you're saying.
Everybody, welcome. Tony Lopez showed up. Jared Glantz showed up. Thank you guys for being here. I'm borrowing or cueing from my good buddy David Villa. I borrowed some Humphrey Bogart from my intro music today. Still experimenting with that, and I'm accepting suggestions for intro music for the Nooner. This is episode 16 of the Nooner, if you can believe that. The Nooner is of the Nooner, if you can believe that. The Nooner is about, hey, we got somebody else popped in. Thank you very much for being here. Scott Hoof, nice, man. Thanks for showing up. Ben DeVolder shows up. Look at that. My guy, Ben DeVolder. Thank you so much for being here. Make sure to favorite, restream it, collecting points. Grant's at number 1. I need to catch up. Look at that. Jose Garza's here. What's up? Thank you guys again for being here. So today on the Nooner, we're going to be answering the question, hey, what's the order that I should read Grant Cardone's books in? So as we're getting into that, I want to introduce myself to you. You just wrote a deal, dude? Ben DeVolder just got a deal. Nice, man. So is everybody that's tuning into the Nooner right now actually hearing that Ben DeVolder just wrote a deal? First people to know that? Congratulations, Ben DeVolder. Love it. All right, so look, we're helping you close deals just by being here, okay? So today, again, we're talking about how to read Grant Cardone's books, what's the order to read them in, how to get the most out of them. My name is David Bradley, Sales and Marketing Manager with Grant Cardone. Been doing this just going on 5 years. And what we do, if you're not familiar with who Grant Cardone is, Grant's a New York Times best-selling author, international speaker, motivator, sales guru, expert. He's been at this for 30 years, and he's in the trenches every single day doing it, so he's not one of those guys that did it once and then is teaching everybody how to do it. He's still doing it every single day. So we're talking real-time, live help. What we do is we go into a company and we help them create an increase in production, usually to the tune of 15 to 30%. I just blanked right there. Did you see that? We help companies increase production, usually to the tune of 15 to 30%, simply by helping find and then handle misproduction within the organization and missed opportunity. Okay. 2 other things about me. I'm the author of a book called How to Stop Smoking Without Killing Anyone. If you know somebody who's trying to kick the habit and they haven't been able to figure it out yet, or if that's you, I can help. Go to stopdon'tquit.com. I'm also the founder or creator of a hashtag called Richmans Gym. Soon to be a book, Home-Based Strength and Conditioning for Strength of Body, Mind, and Spirit. So the goal of the Nooner is to actually give you a little noontime nugget about sales or business or life, just something that you can take with you into the rest of your day. So at this point, it's 12 o'clock noon on the West Coast. You're having lunch. You've had lunch. If you're on the East Coast, it's 3 o'clock. Caffeine's wearing off, okay? You've had food for your body for nourishment. I'm going to give you some nourishment for your brain, something you can take with you into the rest of your day. And like I said, we're going to be looking at how to read. Oh, Tony thinks 10X should be first. Okay, that's fantastic. So let's open that up. What do you guys think? What order should we be reading Grant's books in? So, and that's what we're going to be talking about. And before we get too far into that, I'm going to give you guys a fun fact about reading, okay? Most successful CEOs and entrepreneurs will read, on average, 60 books a year. 60, okay? The average American barely gets one done in the same 12-month period, in the same 1 year. So CEOs, entrepreneurs, heavy hitters, they're reading 60 books a year, okay? Average Joes, 1, maybe, okay? Now, here's the kicker. Here's the stinger. Bing. This is what hurts. The same average American will wind up making 319 times less. So for those of you thinking, man, I don't have time to read. Marco, thank you for being here. For those of you that are thinking, I don't have time to read, I have 319 reasons why you need to make the time to read. Okay, and one of the things I always try and talk about is that priority equals time. If you feel you don't have time, then what I'm going to challenge you to realize is you just haven't made a priority yet. This goes to me too. Okay. So all the books are great. Just finished 10X Rule for the third time. Exactly. I'm going to talk about why you need to read these more than once. Okay. So if you go to Twitter and you start searching Grant Cardone books, you're going to see a lot of people say, hey, what order am I supposed to read these in? Okay. Well, the first thing I'm going to tell you is that any of them, pick one. Okay. It's going to be good. You will get something out of it. If you get any, it doesn't really matter what order you read them in, just start, right? Pick one, okay? But if you're looking for a synergistic effect, sort of a 1-2 combo knockout, boost the whole deal, like blow it all up, then there's a certain order you want to read them in for maximum impact and maximum efficiency, especially if you're new to selling. So what I tell you is, and what Grant will tell you too, is he'll tell you that you want to do this one first. Sell or Be Sold. This is the foundational book. Everything that Grant teaches, everything that we talk about in this company starts here. It's built on this foundation. So this is your foundational book. So this is what the house is built on. This is what success is built on. This is what the creation of your economy is built on, this book. This is about how to sell. Subtitle, How to Get Your Way in Business and in Life. So this is that foundational book. This is what everything else is built on. Okay, if you look at the back, it says Sell or Be Sold is your guide to effectively selling yourself, products, and your ideas to anyone. So this is where you want to go first. Okay, this builds your foundation. So we want to learn the art and the science of selling. But once that's done, we need to work on closing. Selling and closing are two very separate things. Okay, so that's why you want to read this second. I'll talk a little bit about how to read this in a minute, but this would be the second book. So once you've learned the art and the science and the skill of closing, this is number 2. This is round 2, or selling, excuse me. Round 2, we get into closing. Okay, this book has theory at the beginning and then very specific closes that you can go through and practice. Okay. With any luck, this book should be falling out. This is my 3rd copy, I think. Should fall apart. Okay. So now we've learned how to sell. We've worked on closing. We've got those 2 things are handled. Now what? What do you think comes next? If you're not first, you're last. Okay. This is the 3rd book. Okay. So we've built our foundation. We've worked on our skills at closing. Now we need to go out into the marketplace and make it happen. How do I do that? How do I go out into a marketplace and literally create my own economy? When this book was first written, we were in a downturn. Things were falling apart, was not looking good. Okay, but I talked about this yesterday. Grant talks about it all the time. You want to be at cause for what happens in your life and in your economy. You want to be you create your own economy. So how do I do that effectively? How do I go out into the marketplace, get myself out of obscurity, reach out? So while this book is initially written to be successful and survive in a down economy, this is really a book on prospecting, and Grant will tell you that if you ask him. This is about prospecting. It's about going out into the marketplace, getting known, getting out of obscurity, which is always a salesperson or a company or an entrepreneur. That's your biggest problem, is obscurity. People don't know who you are. They can't do business with you, right? So I paid $800 to see Grant 10 years ago live. These books cover all those things that cost me $800 and the books are steel. Exactly, right? Everything you need to know from Grant is in these 4 books. Damn right. So that brings us to number 4, which is the 10X rule. Now, the magic of this is we've learned selling, we've learned closing, we've learned how to go out into the marketplace and get out of obscurity. Now what? We got to blow it up. We've got to take massive amounts of action. Right? So this book covers 2 things. Number 1, how to think bigger than you're already thinking. And I don't know about you, but I don't think big enough. I'll admit that. Okay. I could always be thinking bigger and taking more action. And at some point when I reach a level of bigger and more action, there will still be in me, man, I could have done this bigger. I could have gone bigger. And Grant says that. Look where Grant's at, and he's still not satisfied. Okay, so this book really works on you thinking massive and then taking massive amounts of action, taking what you're thinking and putting it out into real space. Okay, so now some tips on how to read these books. I'm going to use the 10x rule as my example. I've got two versions of this book. I have the nice, pretty one that's not all jacked up, and then I have the one that I read. Okay, but so you want to challenge yourself to do one book a week. Okay, so if it's week 1, Sell or Be Sold. Week 2, it's Closers. Week 3, First Your Last. Week 4, 10x. Okay. Now, so challenge yourself to do that. I'm going to come back on that thing as well. But the other thing you want to do is you want to write somewhere when you're going to have this done by. So if it's a week from now, write down a week from now right here. Put it down. If you need a month, take the month. But I would challenge you to try and bang these out in a week, each, one a week. But write down the day. Give yourself a target as to when you're going to be done reading these books. Like literally set that in stone and say, hey, I'm going to read this book. I'm banging this out in a week. And then to make sure you do that, schedule time. Schedule time during the day where you get a calendar reminder or you get something where you're like, okay, everything stops. Phone goes on Do Not Disturb. I turn my ringer off. Maybe I just turn it off, okay? And I'm going to read for 30 minutes, 20 minutes. What you pick the time that is appropriate to finish this book in a week. But just set that time aside to make sure you actually do that and that you hit the target that you write down when you're going to be done reading the book, okay? So that is 2 tips. The third, though, is you want to take copious amounts of notes. Copious means a lot, okay? You want to write down a lot of notes. Take notes, write stuff down, journal, let your mind go with some of these concepts. These are not always the easiest things to grasp, okay? So when Grant says, assume control for everything, I talked about this yesterday on the Nooner, okay? What does that mean, right? So you need to like literally work this out sometimes in your mind. So feel free to stop, take notes, okay? At the end of each chapter, though, Grant's going to give you questions, okay? There's an exercise, okay? What do you want to assume control of in your life? Success is not something that happens to you. It's something that happens, fill in the blanks, okay? This makes sure that you got the information from the chapter. If you don't know the answer, you got to go back. Reread the chapter. Make sure you know what you're reading, and that's why there's questions. So one thing that might be even fun to do is to read the questions in the chapter before you actually read the chapter. That way you know what you're looking for, okay? And then answer those questions as truthfully and as honestly as you can. And then if you don't know the answer, it's okay to go back and get it. You want to be clear on the data. You want to be certain, right? So the other thing I want to challenge you to do is don't go to another chapter unless you've answered those questions. Like literally just, that's it. Make a commitment. I'm not moving past that chapter until I've done the chapter. Then, as you start to read it, ask yourself one question. If I had to teach a class on this tomorrow, how would I read the chapter, right? So imagine that. You've got a class, you're going to be speaking in front of 100 people, and you're going to be talking about the chapter, Assume Control for Everything. Would you read the chapter just a little different? Would you pay just a little bit more attention? I know I would, right? So that challenge right there helps you, helps you get more out of it, right? Okay. And you want to use these books, okay? You bang this out in 4 weeks, all kinds of wonderful stuff is going to start happening in your life. But it doesn't mean you're done with them. These are not books that you read and then put back on the shelf and never crack them open again. You want pages falling out. You want pencil markings and notes, and you want holes in the pages. You want to have to order these maybe a couple times, right? Not just because that boosts sales for us, but because literally you've torn this thing up. You've gone through it so much that it's become part of you. Use these for inspiration when you need them. Thank you for hanging out with us, Tony. Have a great rest of the day. Appreciate you being here. Use these books for inspiration when you need them. Use them as motivation when you need them. Use them to solve problems when you need them. So here's an example. Closer Survival Guide. If you're not on Cardone On Demand or Cardone University and you have an appointment, best way to prepare for an appointment is with Cardone On Demand or Cardone University. But if that is not an option for you right now, but you've got this book, okay, ask yourself, hey, what kind of objections am I anticipating? Leader at work, hey, thank you for being here. Appreciate you liking this. What objections might come in? I'm going to meet with a guy in 20 minutes. He's telling me he's very sensitive about payment. Can I come into this book? Can I crack this open? Can I look for closes specifically designed to handle payment? Absolutely. There's a whole basic closes, advanced closes, classic closes, money closes, payment closes. So I can start looking and warm up. Okay, if just like a baseball player, right? If you're playing a baseball game against a guy who throws a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, I got this one from Jared. Wouldn't you practice 90-mile-an-hour fastballs before the game? Absolutely. So if you have a client who's payment sensitive or budget sensitive or whatever the issue is that you're worried about or you know it's coming, warm up, right? So use this book. Maybe you don't close the deal. Why not? What worked? What didn't work? What was the objection that stopped the sale? Can I come in here and study it? And when you find a close, won't be the last time. I'm going to use that as an example. It's one of my favorites. I agree, and this isn't the first time, and it won't be the last time that you spend more money than you expected to. I need your okay here and here. Now, the other cool thing about this is that there's a spot where you can literally write how you can customize this to your business. And then you can write down what objections you might anticipate or what things may pop up to where this close would be appropriate. Okay? And then a little tip from Grant. So that's how to get the most out of Closer's Survival Guide. Again, the order, do you remember what they are? Sell or be sold, Closer's Survival Guide, if you're not first, you're last, 10X rule. Set target dates to finish them by. See if you can get all 4 done, 1 a week, right? Answer the questions. At the end of each chapter, do it. If you need to, read them before. But answer those questions. It's vital to getting the most out of the book. If you have questions for that or about that or something I didn't touch on, tweet me at David R. Bradley. Send me an email, david@grantcardone.com. Anything I can do to help make sure you get the most out of these books, I'm all in. So, again, I'm David Bradley, Sales and Marketing Manager with Grant Cardone. This has been episode 16, Gucci 420. Thank you for restreaming this. If you're coming in late and you want to get the rerun, if you will, I'm putting these up on YouTube. So if you go to youtube.com/Cardone Solutions, look for a playlist over there called The Nooner. There's 15 more just like this where I'm dropping noontime nuggets about sales, business, and life. Catch me every day at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time where I'm dropping in. I'm going to be sharing something with you, positive, motivating, helpful. If you have a suggestion for me, tweet it out to me on what you'd like to hear or what you'd like me to cover. Questions, comments, concerns, at David R. Bradley on the Twitter, david@grantcardone.com. Let me know what I can do to be of service to you. Hope you enjoyed this nooner. I did, and thank you very much. Have a great rest of the day.